Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is still playing out the bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, as we're now starting to see a bit of a Christmas Day bounce in the immediate short term for the price of Bitcoin. Still trying to play out the bullish divergence, but also we still need to pay attention to this major resistance, which I'll talk about in just a moment, while Ethereum is getting closer towards confirming a possible bearish price pattern alongside Chainlink still forming a similar price pattern that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last one day. So obviously we still have the super trend indicator sitting in the red on the weekly time frame, which obviously indicates a larger bearish correction or bearish market for the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which is technically still influencing the price on the much larger time frames here. Remember, this is not a short-term signal, but if we're zooming into the 3-day time frame, we have a smaller bullish divergence playing out in the somewhat short to mid-term here of a period of days, if not weeks. And at least for now, this smaller bullish divergence is still currently active. And so at least in the next couple of weeks or so, that sort of time frame, I do expect a bit more of a relief, just a break from all of this bearish price action here, most likely in the form of either a slight bullish relief or maybe some choppy sideways price action. So basically, I don't really expect a massive crash or also a massive pump. Basically, a slight bullish move is one of the most likely outcomes from a bullish divergence. So overall, that's my expectation if we're talking about, let's just say, the next 1 or 2 weeks or maybe a few weeks, that sort of time frame. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, the price of Bitcoin is still remaining in this same sideways price range between this support and this resistance. First of all, this support is still sitting at around 85 to 86,000, and this resistance is still sitting at around 92 to 94,000. So keep in mind, the price is still just bouncing around relatively sideways in between this support and this resistance. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, obviously the price is still forming some slight higher lows here, despite obviously that breakdown that we saw over the last 1 week or so, 1 to 2 weeks, breaking down below this previous line of support and then rejecting from that line, flipping it into new resistance. And so obviously the higher lows is some bullish price structure, but this breakdown below this support and flipping it into resistance is bearish price structure. So ultimately, the price structure in the somewhat shorter term here is actually looking relatively neutral, not overly bullish or overly bearish. Remember, we're basically in a bit of a sideways price range, consolidating sideways between support and resistance, at least in the shorter term here. For now, that is the current situation. And like I talked about in my last video right around here, I said that this rejection, this slight little bearish move, is coming to an end. And over the next 1 day, I said yesterday, over the next 1 day, I expect relatively boring price action, nothing too significant. And of course, that's pretty much exactly what's now played out as predicted. And of course, usually on public holidays, especially on Christmas Day, we see very low trading volume. Not a lot of people are taking trades. And of course, the US stock market is closed on public holidays, like Christmas Day, for example. So very low trade volume, very boring price action, which is to be expected on a day like today. And honestly, over the next 1 to 2 days, I don't expect any massive moves in the price. Maybe just a slight little bounce could continue, considering we are starting to turn around from that previous rejection, and we did get close to this major support at around 85 to 86,000. In fact, we almost hit 86,000. We entered into the $86,000 area before starting to see a bit of support and a slight bounce from around that area. And so overall, I expect just a slight little relief like this over the next 1 day, but overall remaining in this sideways price range at least over the next few days, possibly the next 1 or 2 weeks is a very likely scenario here in the shorter term. But as I also talked about in my last video, the longer we see this relatively boring price action in the market, just consolidating sideways, the longer this happens, the next massive move will likely be a massive move. Basically, if we see a large sideways consolidation, we tend to see a huge move in the price of Bitcoin following that boring price action. And so basically, the longer the price kind of just chops around sideways like this, the larger that next massive move will likely be. So keep that in mind. Obviously, get prepared, set up, ready to go on an exchange. And if you're actually using the first link below this video, by the way, in the description and in the pinned comment, that link right there will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, where there's actually a massive $1 million Christmas event happening right now, which is basically a trading showdown where there's a huge prize prize money here to be won if you simply just by trading crypto. And so especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, maybe in the coming days or weeks, you might as well check this out. Take advantage of this right here using that first link below this video. Remember, huge prize pool right here, first link below the video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, if you want another option out there for a crypto exchange that I also use myself, and if you also want to claim extra bonuses, then check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, because that second link will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of massive bonuses. For example, just by making an account, completing KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, there's a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, then you can get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So you can also claim some extra bonuses, basically free money from the exchange over here on Pinex, using that second link below this video. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well take advantage of this. Once again, second link below the video to Pinex. But if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see that we still have a lot of liquidity building just above the price of Bitcoin, still sitting at close to or just under 91,000, really in between around 90.6k to 91.1k. In that entire area right there, we have a lot of liquidity, but especially around 90.8k, 90.9k. So once again, just underneath 91,000, we still have a lot of liquidity building right around here. And in case you're new to all of this, basically all you need to know is, of course, there's no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but usually the price gets drawn towards where we have a lot of liquidity. It kind of acts as a magnet on the price chart, pulling the price towards where we have a lot of liquidity. So keep that in mind. That is a short-term price target to pay attention to at close to 91,000, just under 91k. But also be aware of points of resistance while we're seeing this slight little bounce here. For example, I would expect resistance at around 90,000 and especially around 90,500 based on this previous ascending line of support flipping into new resistance. And once again, as I said earlier, a lot of resistance in between 92 to 94,000. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, we can see that right now the Bitcoin dominance is obviously pushing a little bit higher in the immediate short term, ultimately just continuing the shorter term bullish trend. Obviously right now we are trending in the bullish direction, not necessarily showing a significant amount of bullish momentum. We're not seeing huge moves towards the upside, but overall still currently looking more bullish than bearish. And so this basically tells us that a lot of the major altcoins out there on average, of course there can always be outliers, but a lot of the major altcoins out there on average will likely be slightly underperforming Bitcoin, but still performing pretty similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So that is still the situation right now and will likely continue to be the situation at least in the coming days or weeks here. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame right now, we're still finding a lot of resistance at this point right here at around $3,040. So really in between around 3,000 to 3.1k. Expect a lot of resistance around there on the price chart. But overall, we've basically now completed the previous rejection that we saw over the last few days. We're no longer really heading towards the downside. We're basically following Bitcoin with that slight little bounce in the immediate short term. But obviously just still be aware that we have a lot of resistance at close to 3,000 and just above 3,000. And if we break out above that level, in that situation, I would expect more resistance at just above 3.2k, closer towards around 3250 give or take, and more resistance at around 3.4k. And as for support, I would expect a lot of support at around 2750 to 2.8k. And if we're zooming into this area on the price chart, staying on the daily time frame for Ethereum, we do have a possible head and shoulders pattern, which is a bearish price pattern currently forming right now. But I want to make this clear, it is not currently confirmed. So of course, we already have a left shoulder and a head formed, and right now we're possibly forming a right shoulder. But in order for this to complete and start to confirm a bearish price target, we need to see a continued pullback in the coming days here over the next 1 week or so, and then we need to break below roughly 2.8k, below these lows right here. And then if we see that, that would activate a bearish price target and confirm the price pattern. And in case you're wondering what that price target would be, measuring out from the candle close high right here to the point of the breakdown, the neckline right here. If this first confirms, once again, I want to make this clear, it's not currently confirmed, but if we confirm, let's just say a daily candle close below around 2.8k, in that situation, that will set up a price target at just under 2.4k, more specifically around 2380 to 2390. And so, for example, if we're measuring that move from the point of the breakdown to that price target, that's possibly around a 15 to 16% move down, and that's with no leverage. So for example, a 10x leverage short position in this example, not financial advice, would be around a 150 to 160% profit in that example. But remember, at least as of right now, that possible price target and trading opportunity is not yet confirmed. It is not yet in play, but definitely something to watch out for in case it confirms in the next few days or in the next 1 or 2 weeks. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 3-hour Ethereum price chart, we can see that right now, obviously, and over the last few days, we did reject from this previous point of support, flipped into new resistance at pretty much exactly or just above 3,000 at around $3,050. And so obviously, like I said earlier, even before this rejection, we have that point of resistance at around $3,040. So that's pretty much exactly where the price rejected from. So continue to expect resistance around that area, especially really in between 3,000 to 3.1k. We have a lot of resistance around it here on the price chart. But like I just said earlier, and also like I mentioned in my last video, this potential rejection right here is starting to come to an end. Obviously, we're slowing down the slight pullback, potentially starting to turn around a little bit, and it's likely that in the next 1 or 2 days, we could maybe see a slight little bullish relief. But I don't necessarily expect a significant amount of momentum or huge volatile move just in the next 1 or 2 days. It's quite likely we'll maybe see a slight little relief, maybe approach this resistance, but still struggle around this resistance. It's a very likely scenario if we're talking about the immediate short term, the next 1 day or so, especially if Bitcoin does something similar here in the shorter term. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana is still technically playing out the bullish divergence on the daily time frame, with lower lows in the price and higher lows confirmed in the RSI over the last 1 day. This has not yet been invalidated, which means overall, if we're talking about the next week or couple of weeks, it's quite likely that we could continue either a slight bullish relief or maybe just some choppy sideways price action as the most likely or most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. So overall, those are still my expectations if we're talking about the next 1 or 2 weeks. And we're also now starting to retest this previous point of support, which could act as a bit of resistance in the short term at around $124 to $125. So keep that in mind. And if we break out back above that level in that situation, I'd expect more resistance at closer towards $130, and especially in between 143 to 147, acting as a significant area on the price chart, likely acting as strong resistance. And as for support, continue to expect a lot of support at around 115 to 117 approximately, basically around this previous low just here, still acting as support. And once again, considering the bullish divergence is still active, it's likely we could continue just a very slight little bullish relief, nothing too significant, but a slight little bullish relief in the immediate short term is quite likely, especially if Bitcoin does something similar, obviously. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart. So without wasting your time, getting straight into the daily time frame, and right now we still have the smaller bullish divergence, the shorter term bullish divergence, technically still active over the last 1 day. This has not yet been invalidated. And so even though the larger trend on the price chart has not necessarily confirmed a reversal out of this larger bearish trend or ending this larger bearish divergence, even though that's not the case right now, of course, if we're talking about the shorter term during the larger bearish trend, so if we're talking about the next maybe 1 or 2 weeks, it's still quite likely we could continue either a sideways consolidation like this or maybe a slight little bullish relief as the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And remember, that can occur during a larger bearish trend, as we've seen many times over the last multiple months. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, I'll still expect a lot of support at around $1.80 and a lot of resistance at around $1.95, and especially around $2 to $2.05. That area right there likely acting as strong resistance. And if we see any bullish move beyond that point, I'd expect more resistance at around $2.15 to $2.20. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the daily time frame, technically speaking, the price got very close to possibly invalidating this bullish divergence, but over the last 1 day, we've not yet confirmed any invalidation signal to actually invalidate the bullish divergence, which means overall, of course, it is still currently active, which means overall expect either some sideways price action or maybe a slight little bullish relief as the most likely outcomes from a bullish bullish divergence. Basically a bit of a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action, but not necessarily confirming a massive high momentum movement towards the upside. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, we still have a lot of support around these lows right here at give or take $12, so around $11.90 to $12.10. Still expect a lot of support around there on the price chart. And as for resistance, expect some resistance around $12.80 based on previous support, flipping into new resistance at $12.80. And above that, expect massive resistance really in between $13.30 to $13.50. And also similar to Ethereum possibly forming a head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame, Chainlink is also possibly forming a head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame, as I've already mentioned over the last few days. So I won't go deep into detail about this price pattern right here. I'm just making you aware that this is a pattern that's possibly forming, but obviously not currently confirmed. And if you want to know the price target and a possible trading opportunity for this price pattern for Chainlink, then check out my last 1 to 2 videos here on this channel. But basically all you need to know is we need to actually confirm the break below around 1180 to 1190 with at least a daily candle close below that level, and then hold below that level in order to actually confirm this bearish price pattern and set up a new bearish price target. So for now, obviously that's not yet confirmed, which means overall that possible bearish price target is not currently in play. But if you haven't done so already, this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the links below this video, you can take advantage of massive bonuses over on those exchanges using those links that are only available using those links. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out once again. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here to profit no matter what the price does, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen, because the video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all in the next video.